Wow, yeah. We've had pretty much a full month of March craziness just in the first 2 weeks or so, and then obviously still dealing with it today with some big wind, big temperature swings, severe weather, and then a change over to snow. Some spots are going to see pretty good accumulations of snow where bands persist, so we'll address exactly where that's going to be. The good news is, after our crazy March so far, I mean, we are going to calm down. It's going to be a little bit more stable, so we'll give you that information here too. Let's get right to it. Temperature extremes compared to 24 hours ago, they are, yeah, 30, 40 degrees in spots colder from St. Louis to West Virginia. Meanwhile, it's 20 to 30 degrees warmer, Syracuse to Philly, into portions of the Jersey Shore. Temperatures right now into the middle and upper 60s in the DC area after some rain went through, well into the 50s across much of New York State and the eastern half of PA, but it's cooled down to 36 in Cleveland, 27 in Indianapolis, and middle 20s in the Chicago area as this big old robust low pressure system continues to move on through. Potential gusts over the rest of this evening. Look at that, 49 miles per hour. New York City could have some 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts around DC, dying down a little bit out across Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Columbus, but still some 30 mile per hour gusts possible. Watch out for some occasional 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, especially if storms move through at times into like New York City and Long Island. That's a 74 mile per hour gust, 60 around Boston. Pretty intense for sure. It does die down as we go throughout tomorrow somewhat, but it's still very breezy across the entire region until we get into essentially tomorrow night. Then it dies down. That this is much more manageable through Wednesday and even into early Thursday with still some 20 mile per hour gusts here and there. So this is the current radar, or a looping radar, I should say. Cold front marching off towards the east, spiking off those rounds of storms, snow back across Chicago, now into western Michigan. We're seeing just a few showers kind of in between there. So we'll track in a couple different areas. It's the loop over the last few hours, some of that severe weather moving through around the DC area. Now, currently, you could see around Manassas over towards the Centerville and Idlewood area, bringing in another complex of some storminess. You got a little bit closer to the Townsend area with some storms. Philly to New York City areas, just a few showers along the 95. And there is the tornado threat for the rest of the day today. Still definitely elevated, but a little bit lower. So that's good news. They knocked it down about 5% there across the Baltimore, Washington area. It's less into Philly, but you still got that thunderstorm spin. This is what's called storm relative helicity. It's not extreme, but definitely a lot of energy in the atmosphere with that turning of the wind possible. Still the tornado threat, still damaging wind threats like we just showed you. It doesn't take much to bring down some pretty strong winds there, but that front moves through and everything comes to an end as we go through the late portions of this evening as far as that severe threat. And then you can see the wind is going to be out of the west, which means you're bringing very cold air across the Great Lakes, and this is going to bring in rounds of lake effect snow later Tuesday into much of the day on Tuesday. So let's show you this whole setup starting off here right now. As we go throughout the afternoon hours, watch for a few more rounds of showers and thunderstorms to really start to pick up as we go into Delaware, Maryland, in towards portions of South Jersey. Notice back towards the west, you're seeing a change to all of a sudden a system that was pretty minor blowing up with snow as that cold air meets the moisture. So eastern Ohio, western PA, watch out for a change to some moderate to heavy snowfall. It's not going to accumulate much initially on any kind of paved surfaces, but as we lose the daylight and as it continues to get colder, yeah, there will be some accumulation for salting and probably not too much in the way of any kind of plowing, but definitely some efforts are needed as this big squall line then moves through portions of, you can see, Jersey area at this point, eastern PA. Luckily, this is right after the school day. You're not going to have to worry about dismissal issues with the main round of severe weather. And it starts to weaken, but still some pretty gusty winds through New York City and probably up into the Albany area a little bit, but weaker. And then cold air is everywhere. You got the snow showers coming off the lakes. You got Pretty good bands at times as we go throughout portions of your Tuesday. This could be an all-day thing, and depending on where those bands set up, several inches is likely off of multiple different lakes. It does look like there'll just be kind of a couple bands off each lake, maybe a little bit more scattered into Michigan. Before the next system pushes on in, it's going to be a fairly weak type system, but there could be a little bit of minor snowfall accumulation associated with that as it slides on through. But as temperatures warm up during the course of the day on Wednesday, it's going to be more of that mix or more some showers. But still, Buffalo to Pittsburgh State College area you could see a little bit. And then Albany area as you go into Wednesday night, early Thursday morning gets, again, a little bit of snow. Not going to see much accumulation. It's warmer on the backside of that system, so it's mainly rain and maybe a little bit of mix that moves on through Detroit and Cleveland as you go throughout early Thursday. So accumulation off of Grand Rapids area to South Bend will be a widespread, probably 4 to 8 inches in spots with some pretty significant accumulations in isolated areas. Flint, Detroit, maybe an inch or two. You could see there across the, oh, sorry, meant to pause that. Let me move it back. You can see Cleveland areas, some spots are going to be maybe a half an inch. A lot of spots 1 to 2 inches, and then there will be some banding. Now, again, does this set up further north? Does this set up further south? Yes, anything's possible, but where it does set up, a band of 4 to 8 inches is probably likely. You can see the Pittsburgh area with that snow from today, and then maybe a little bit of lake effect on top of it, a couple inches or so, but not all of that will accumulate on pavement. And then further off towards the east, not a lot going on once you get past central PA. Not looking at anything really New York City area, and then very little into Albany and the Hudson Valley, but into Syracuse and Utica, yes, there will be probably a couple to a few inches of snowfall there. So Futurecast going further on out. We're going to see that system into the New England area throughout your Thursday. Low pressure cold front moves through. Probably maybe another weak system right behind that. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. These are quick movers and not as significant, but multiple could move through by the end of the week. And then just a good amount of cloud cover around. Temperatures are going to be fairly normal for this time of year for the most part. We're not going to see a significant fluctuations. We'll have to keep our eyes on a more organized system throughout the weekend that could bring probably more in the way of warmer air and rainfall. And then a cold front bringing maybe a little bit more lake effect early next week. But overall, there's not major systems, and especially once you get in towards the end of the weekend and throughout portions of next week, it looks like for the most part, we finally set up a drier pattern throughout much of the country. Temperatures, yeah, cold for sure. No doubt about that. You're talking temperatures tomorrow hanging in the 20s into portions of like Ohio, Michigan, PA, and then just lower 30s at best into the East Coast areas. Wednesday's pretty cold too, but we're going to warm up a little bit more. And then I thought I was going to stop this before we got into Friday, but you could see even, I mean, Thursday's not going to be super warm. We're still 40s and 50s as you go on in towards your Friday. DC a little bit warmer into the 60s, but no big time warm air pushing on in as we go on to the weekend. Plenty of warm air continuing across the west in the next 6 to 10 day period. So not only through the weekend, but into early portions and even mid portions of the following week. It does still stay cool and through the northeast. So generally across our whole area, temperatures are going to be anywhere from around average to at least a little bit below. And then I think once you get past this period, so let's say the next 10 days, I do believe we're going to probably see a few days of warmer weather return again after that. So that's pretty late in the month. That's it. Thanks for watching, paying attention to the latest forecast. Be safe out there.